Yeah, what's up, Tyrese? How you doing, man? Alrighty, everybody, what is going on? This is, of course, your boy Bernie here, along with Tyrese. How you doing, Tyrese?
What's, I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Not too bad. Just enjoying a nice little Friday afternoon of
Same,
Damian,
same.
Damian Lillard news and KD,
Yeah.
KD space and Twitter. So it's definitely gonna be a fun one.
Yes, it is.
Hey, everybody, what is going on? Just want to make sure we're live on my phone. Looks like we're good.
All right.
Alrighty, so how's everybody doing? Of course, like I said, it's your boy Bernie and Tyrese. Like I said, give me
What's
the
going
latest
on?
NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions. And today, guys, we are going to go over, like I said in the title of this stream, we're going to talk about who is telling the truth in this Damian Lillard saga. Seems like, he wants to trade, then he doesn't want to trade, and there's a lot of things, hammering or kind of hedging their bets on this Damian Lillard trade. We also have, of course, to talk about the Spaces news. On Twitter, we got Curry fans just pissed off at KD for some reason. He just gets those guys in their head, and I really think it was a blown opportunity for those guys, and also just a blown opportunity to really get KD's knowledge of the game and to kind of like, for a fan to get him. It's a little frustrating that you got a guy like that to talk basketball, one of the best in the world, and instead you want to talk about a little pity drama with Curry and whatnot. So anyway, we're gonna talk about all that, but before we do, guys, we of course have a donation link and merch if you guys are interested in buying that stuff. The merch so far, we got hats, we got T-shirts, we got a lot of stuff going on. So if you guys are interested in any of this information or any of the stuff, I should say, it is there live on the donation link. I'll make sure to put that in the comment section or in the live chat while we're talking. And of course, the donation link if you guys are generous to donate to the channel. But enough about the self-promotion, Tyrese. We got to talk about this Damian Lillard saga. So,
Yes, sir.
I don't know how much you've been keeping up with it, but what do you make of this whole sort of like a lot of people are reporting that he is going to get traded, and then Damian Lillard says he's not going to get traded. What do you make of it?
Well, I just think I make of it as Damian Lillard maybe not trying to hurt his value. That's the only thing I can think of. I mean, Damian Lillard, he's a real cool, calm, and collective guy. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't like a lot of drama, media coming at him. Dang, where are you going? He doesn't want to hear all that noise. But I think he's out of there because, I mean, why would reporters from The Athletic, from other news outlets, like this is getting traction? This isn't just like something just being said. This is something in his camp that's being out there, but he's gonna deny it. I mean, I think Anthony Davis, didn't he once say he wanted to stay with New Orleans and he demanded a trade or they traded him? So I think that's just and plus two, he doesn't want no tampering since he's with Team USA. So he doesn't want to. He's just gonna shoot it down. I expected him to do that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me about this whole Damian Lillard saga is that I think, obviously, it's kind of one of those things where we know he wants to get traded or he wants to be on a better team, but he won't say it publicly because, like you said, it'll hurt his value, or he just doesn't want to upset the fans. But I think at the end of the day, he knows in his heart of heart that this Portland Trailblazers team is just not built for a championship. And the older that it gets, the more that people are going to want that money. I really thought that they should have kept Gary Trent Jr. I think a lot of people thought that Norman Powell would be fine, but I really liked Gary Trent's game. CJ McCollum has really just stagnated and hasn't really progressed as much as I think Damian Lillard would like to have. And so to me, when I look at that and when I look at the whole situation going on in Portland, they just got Chauncey Billups as their head coach. I'm not sure if he was someone. I know that he was someone that Dame wanted, but at the same time, it's like, you may want to coach, but is the team built ready to win a championship? And the answer right now is no. Unless like some crazy trade happens, this Portland Trailblazer team is just not built for it right now. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I just think, man, I honestly think he knows he's out of there. I mean, he just turned 31. He's not getting any younger.
Hmm.
Um, and like, I just take what he said was, I don't want to leave. We just needed a better coach. Like Chauncey Billups isn't the most experienced coach. Like
Right.
he's only been 1 year with the Clippers as an assistant. You see what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
kind of like he's out of there. It just doesn't. It seems like he was all over the place. Like he was just trying to, like silence it in a way, but he's not making sense because like he doesn't have any experience,
Exactly.
and he's not a better coach than Terry Stotts. Terry Stotts has had more experience in playoff games and just as a head coach 1,000 times more than Chauncey Billups, obviously. So
Yeah, I mean the thing is I can't hate on the Chauncey Billups hiring because that's honestly who I thought the Celtics should get when we were kind of looking at coaches for our team.
mhm.
I think he was actually the guy behind the whole Tyronn Lue coaching regimen. With guys like Mann and kind of the way that the Clippers kind of battled back in that Jazz series. I really think that was all Chauncey Billups, in my opinion. I mean, I know maybe you disagree with me, but I really think that he was the nucleus as to how they were going to get back in that game. Losing Kawhi Leonard, you thought, okay, it's completely over, but you saw the way that they played, and I really think that's due to Chauncey Billups. And then
Really?
Sean, you said it also upset his guys. He has a road with. Nurkic seemed upset by the rumors. I mean, I would be upset too if I know that my point guard is not going to be with me anymore. Your star point guard, the guy that probably got you paid. Without him, you don't get that paycheck. So I think
Mm-hmm.
those guys would be upset. I mean, I would be upset too if I was one of his teammates. And then you go from like having a guy like Damian Lillard who can hit the shots that you expect from him, and then all of a sudden you're back to like reality where it's like this Portland Trailblazers team could be a run of the mill team or maybe even a lottery team. If he decides to leave. According to this report, you talked about it, The Athletic. Chris Haynes also reported as well. Philadelphia 76ers are kind of a rumor destination. The New York Knicks, the Golden State Warriors. Like, there's all these potential trade rumors. And so, Tyrese, what do you think is really the place for Damian Lillard to go? Like, if you had to pick a place for this guy to, really flourish, where do you think that he would fit best?
Where do I think Damian Lillard would fit best?
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with probably the Golden State Warriors.
Golden State Warriors. Okay.
Hometown kid. Who knows how Clay's gonna be going forward with his injury? And plus,
Mm-hmm.
they would be a force to be reckoned with. Like Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. Like I think if he wants to win a championship and succeed, I think the Golden State Warriors would be the best situation. And I've seen a couple, mock trades where they can trade, Andrew Wiggins, the pick they have this year, which is a lottery pick, maybe Kent Bazemore. They have some pieces they can trade for him for sure. I think that would be the best place. Another place I can see him going is maybe man, where else could I see him going? Because you're gonna have to trade for him. You know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna be a sign and trade for a haul. So
do you think maybe the Lakers? I know that they kind of have like a poo-poo garbage trade,
I just don't see them wanting the Lakers players. I think the Warriors would be better because they have a top 7 pick,
yeah.
Andrew Wiggins, who's still pretty young, and maybe if they even ask for Wiseman instead of Andrew Wiggins and maybe Kent Bazemore, that would get it done. It just seems better because they have an early lottery pick prospect. They could potentially move up in the draft. They have Andrew Wiggins, who can get 20 and 5, who's a good defensive player and is evolving into a better offensive player. I think they can get better bang for their buck with the Warriors. But the only thing is are they going to want to trade within their conference?
Yeah. I mean,
that's the only thing is, do you want to make the Golden State Warriors a better team? I mean, you're going to be at that point, you're going to be rebuilding because CJ McCollum, I think he signed an extension, didn't he?
I believe so. I think he's hooked on for a little bit of money, so you're not going to get rid of him anytime soon.
Yeah, so pretty much they could still be contending a little bit. So if they get Wiggins with CJ McCollum and they can get Kent Bazemore in the lottery pick and maybe trade that lottery pick for maybe like I don't know, maybe move up in the draft. Maybe they can trade for a veteran, a decent veteran player. They can still be a good team. So I just don't think they would do it. But I would love to see him go there. I think he would flourish the best in Golden State with Steve Kerr, his whole
Hmm.
coaching staff, with championship DNA. He's an Oakland kid. I think it would just be great.
Yeah, and kind of looking at everything, CJ McCollum did sign a 4-year, $106 million contract extension, I believe. So he's on the hook for 30 million plus these next coming seasons until 2024 is when he's a free agent when he's 33. So
30
he's
million plus. Wow.
yeah. So it's kind of one of those things. Sean, you said I'd like him on the Bucks, Suns, or 76ers. I don't think it'd be a bad fit for the Bucks, honestly. I mean, it's like kind of an upgraded Drew Holiday, Middleton mix where it's like you actually can rely on the good scoring from Lillard. I think him
But
and
to
John.
the market, I think he's going to want to go to a bigger market. If he can decide where he wants to go, I think it's either going to be Golden State, the Knicks, the Brooklyn Nets, or the Boston Celtics. It's going to be one of those four teams. It's going to be it's going to be a big market this time. He's 31. I mean, it's all about, his legacy at this point. He's already got the money. He's going to want to be in a big market. I don't think he wants, I mean, the Bucks they went to the finals this year, but there's been, low budget teams that went to the finals and never went back.
Yeah, but I mean,
So
think about that. I mean, to kind of counterpoint your argument, it's like if you get Damian Lillard, you already went to the NBA Finals, win or lose. It's like okay, you need to retool because obviously you can't rely on Middleton and Drew Holiday as much. I mean, the contracts match for some of those guys, and if you can trade,
who are you
one of
giving
them,
up?
I think you got to give up Middleton. I mean, as much as it sucks to say, but I think
That's not enough.
I mean, you got to give up Middleton and probably some picks, and maybe some of those role players that you got. Maybe you got to give up Connington. I wouldn't mind giving him up, but
Connington,
I just think he would be a guy that you give up because when you really look at the whole situation, it's like you really need someone to kind of replace, the inconsistency of a guy like Middleton. Like I said, Middleton, I love his game. I think he's an awesome player, but he's very inconsistent in the finals, or not even the finals, just the playoffs. It's like, to me, it'd be like, what was I going with? It's like, you get rid of the inconsistency of Middleton, but you gain, a great player in Damian Lillard, and you get to keep Drew Holiday on the court. You can have those two guards kind of go at it. You can have Drew Holiday be kind of the more defensive guy, and you don't have to rely on him as much, so you can kind of get what you already have with him. And then you praise Middleton with a nice high scorer, and I think you got Dante DiVincenzo kind of waiting in the wing as like another guy. I mean, not saying that DiVincenzo is like the best player in the world, but
right. He's a good role player.
Yeah. And I think you'd have a good role there.
Yeah, I just don't think the Blazers would ever do that. That just doesn't move the needle because Damian Lillard's all world. He can pull up in your arena on the road and drop 50. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Chris Middleton, who knows? And if the bright lights are on, this year he's shown up in some games, but he's fallen back too. You're not giving him up for Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
If I'm the Blazers in the front management, I'm not giving up him. I'm gonna want more than that. I'm probably gonna want Chris Middleton. I'm probably going to want Brooke Lopez. I'm going to want DiVincenzo, whatever his name is. And I'm probably going to want Bobby Portis. I don't know what his contract's looking like, but it's Damian Lillard, man. Like, this guy, he's been so clutch for the Blazers. It's just he's never had no help. Like, CJ McCollum has disappeared so many times in the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, and you're exactly right. Like, he hasn't really been there to really, solidify himself in a good role. And it's frustrating, I would say, as, and I called this 2 years ago, talking about the Portland Trailblazers. I really like Damian Lillard and I like CJ McCollum, but, those two, for whatever reason, they just don't seem to work. I mean, they got to the Western Conference Finals against the Warriors, and they just absolutely didn't show up in those series. And it kind of cost them, that champion, or not even that championship. Well, I guess maybe technically that championship, but really it's like, you got there, you got your butt smacked, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, am I supposed to be confident with this team going forward? It's like I really thought they should have blown this up like 2 or 3 years ago when you realize that these two guys, like basically they've had almost the same team for these last couple of years. The only thing you've added was Melo on a cheap deal, which
Mm-hmm.
actually turned out to be a great, awesome buy for them.
Oh yeah.
And so now it's time to blow it up. Sean, you said Celtics would be fun with Dame in the lineup, but they traded away their trade pieces. I feel like. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bernie. What can the
They would
Celtics
do that
offer?
deal.
The
They would do
Celtics.
that.
I mean,
They
Tyrese.
would do that deal in a heartbeat.
But who are you giving up? You giving up Jaylen Brown? You giving what else? Are you giving up?
I'm giving up Jaylen Brown. I'm giving up Robert Williams, and I'm giving up a 2023 pick.
But do you think that's enough to get Dame? I just don't feel like it's enough.
That's enough. Jaylen Brown's all-world, all-star, 24 points, 24 years of age, defense, can rebound, can shoot the three, 39% from the three-point line, almost 50% from the field. I mean, what more can you ask for? He's not injury prone. He had that minor risk injury that held him out this year. But for the most part, you know what I'm saying? He would be best for Portland. He's a real mellow guy. He's not really like, a rowdy guy, and that's kind of fit in the Portland, Oregon, scenery. I think they would do that in a heartbeat over all these other teams because Jaylen Brown has a lot of promise. If we trade Jaylen Brown, I think it can almost be like a James Harden type to where he can be all world.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I think, and we talk. Whoops, I'm also kind of typing this on Twitter to get a poll from people about with the Celtics. If you're the Celtics, would you give up Brown? Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I think Brown to me is one of those guys. It sucked that he had that injury because I think he would have done some damage in the playoffs. I think we would have been a little bit more competitive in those series, and it sucks to not have him. But I think I was talking to some people about it, and I think we need a guy that has that dog in him. And right now, Jason Tatum is more of a quiet guy. Jaylen Brown, another kind of quiet guy in terms of on the basketball court.
But JT though, he was getting hyped up, man. Like he's starting to get that stardom, that swagger. It's my team. I got the keys. Especially this interview I listened to that he just did recently of how he's like the guy with the keys in the organization. When we were in the playoffs this year, he was showing a lot of excitement, talking trash. He's starting to change. He's starting to know he's that dude. He's not gonna be 2 years ago Jason Tatum where he's quiet, just jogging back. He's gonna be telling you, you can't guard me. You're too small. He's saying that stuff. He was saying that stuff on the floor. The guy I think who's not really good with that is Jaylen Brown. I think he just doesn't fit culturally with Jason Tatum, Robert Williams.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He's more of a mellow guy.
Yeah.
And,
the only thing I was gonna push back on is in terms of what I mean by that, it's more so the guy who's gonna be a leader. Where I feel like JT isn't so much a leader as he is kind of he's trash talking a little bit, kind of talking some smack. But what I'm expecting is when you see Lillard, he's out there kind of command. I know he's the point guard. He's really a shooting guard masquerade as a point guard. But he's commanding the offense. Telling guys where to go and here and there, and that's what I mean by that. And I just think we're missing that in our team.
Well, you got to reconsider too. He's only 23 years of age. I mean, it seems like he's been in the league forever, but damn, he's only 23 years of age. He hasn't really been in no big war battles like that. And two, it comes down to the coaching because Brad Stevens wasn't no alpha. I mean, you're not, you know what I'm saying? At 23 years old in the NBA, you're great, but you haven't been in no battles. You know what I'm saying? He's not a 10-year vet. He's not a KD who's been in the league for 10 years and who can gather troops this is fine. I've been in this predicament. You know what I'm saying? He's only 23 years old. It seems like he's been in the league for fucking, 10 years, but he's he's going to be fine. I just think I'm real concerned on the head coaching because you know what I'm saying? At some points I felt like Tatum just wasn't filling the team. As far as Brad Stevens, as far as the culture, as far as the accountability, you know what I'm saying? I think that really just turned him off and just screw it. I won't be a leader in a way, kind of. But I think with MA, he wanted MA, I think you're going to see a different side of him, especially with more years under his belt.
Okay. Sean, you said Jaylen Brown to me is one of the most slept players in the league. He dropped multiple 40 games before his injury. If I'm the Celtics, I'm holding on to the two pieces, Tatum and Brown, for the whole career. Yeah, I would too, Sean. But the problem is, I just think that at some point, depending on the progression of Brown, if it's still kind of on the up and up. Right now, I feel like it's starting to like it's still on the apex, but I think it's going to start to level off in a couple years with Brown, where I feel like Tatum
Right.
still has a lot of years to go. The question is going to be, for those guys, are do they, are the pieces around the Celtics in terms of role players and stuff like that? Is it enough for them to be like, I believe in this, or are they going to start to kind of be like, okay, we've made our money, and now they're kind of in the same predicament as Damian Lillard, where they're going to be like, well, now we're kind of going to request a trade because we've been with the same team for a couple years now, and we haven't progressed any further than the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, we haven't gone to the NBA Finals, which I know is a lot,
Mm.
but it especially in years like this one where it was like you had no Lakers, you had no Nets. It was the year where
Right.
I think one of those teams could have taken the advantage and the opportunity to maybe even play the Bucks and even win against the Bucks. And where I feel like with the role players that we have now, it scares me to even think that where we're going to be next year. Is it going to be a first round exit next year? Is it going to be a second round exit? Like what?
Well, I think we're gonna clean it up a lot with Ma. Like, I've been seeing some reports like we could be targeting Patty Mills and Dejounte Murray. Those are good pieces, but it all comes down to size, man. Like, we got to get rid of these midgets who are playing center. Grant Williams, Carson Edwards on the bench with a towel around his neck, collecting one base salary, walking in the building with Chipotle. Like, we can't be having that if we want championship aspirations. Like, let's just be real. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Like,
facts.
we can't have that. I mean, that's just what it is, man. Like,
Yeah,
it gets so irritating because it's like, man, like, he has to go out there every single night. If they don't put up 25 points a game, both, we're not winning. Because
yeah.
Kemba is a 50, not even a 50-50. So I'm glad we got rid of him, by the way. But yeah, man, I don't blame you either with that bench. With that bench point, our bench is just atrocious. Like, it's horrible.
Yeah, and we drafted Naismith, a guy that we were like, oh, maybe he has shooting, and obviously it's like one of those things. He got injured, and we don't really know that much about him. So we'll see next year. I mean, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Next year, I think is going to be my prove it year for a guy like Naismith. I know he's only just a second year guy now, but it's
Yeah,
going to
he's
be
young.
it's going to be a prove it guy for me. And Romeo Langford, you're not getting anything from him as someone that was in that draft. But I really do like the pickup of Moses Brown, which then I think it allows us to, like you said, kind of give cushion to get rid of a guy like Robert Williams. As much as I love that kid, as much as I think that he is going to be a really great role player, almost like Clint Capella-esque for me at least, like in terms of, could be the dunker, kind of pick and roll guy that gets a lot of easy lobs. If we can get something for him, I think that's probably where the Celtics will go because right now we're looking at this whole situation with, we had Daniel Theis as our starting center for the year, and it was no good.
Oh yeah,
and we also forget that we
agree.
also have Al Horford, as a guy that could also be a trade piece, for salary cap, exchanging, for whatever guy we want to get. It's one of those things we have to look at.
I honestly think we're gonna make one more big splash before this season. I just can't see us going into the season with Brown and Tatum leading the charge. We don't even have a point guard yet. So it's like we still have a lot of holes to fill. You know what I'm saying? Our bench, our point guard. We still have a lot of holes to fill, but I have a big feeling that we're gonna get some Spurs guys who, like a Patty Mills maybe, or a DeJounte Murray. But I think we're gonna get like a big fish, man.
Yeah,
I think Moses Brown could be a trade piece along with Al Horford if we have to.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with those two guys. Like I said, I think Al Horford is more of the trade piece. I mean, depending on how he plays. I mean, if he plays well in the Celtic system, I know he's familiar with it. But now we have a new coach, so I don't know if the philosophy is going to change any bit. But my whole thing is like, we still need that point guard, and I kind of want to move on to the next story. Is that Lonzo Ball is reportedly in the trade, or reportedly interested in moving on from the Pelicans and signing elsewhere. I know he's going to be a restricted free agent. I honestly think, I know that maybe this is controversial to Celtics, and I would love Lonzo Ball on the team. I think that his passing ability, the way that he plays, man, I think it fits the Celtics a little bit better in terms of if you don't want to get rid of Jalen Brown or Jason Tatum. I think that
Hmm.
I think Lonzo Ball would be a great fit. Another 2017 draftee along with Jason Tatum, Lonzo Ball. It'd be kind of crazy to see if they can make it work in Boston. I just think, like I said, I see Lonzo really progressing well with a guy like Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown. Doesn't need a lot of shots, but will get you open. We'll get you guys open looks, and then be a corner three specialist. I think seeing him work in the offseason, I'm really impressed with the way that he's been working, and I'd
Hmm.
like him for the Celtics. If all else fails, I think he'd be a great kind of option for us.
Yeah, but let's just be realistic. Is he going to get us over the hump?
I mean, I think he'd be. I mean, I think he'd be a lot better than getting a guy. I
Because
think. I mean, we've been dealing with small point guards. That's my issue. Is like we've been dealing with a lot of small guys. Kemba Walker being one of them. Kyrie Irving. I know Kyrie Irving's special, so he can kind of get away with being a little shorter. But I just think having a big guard that's a defensive-minded guard, besides Marcus Smart, who also to me is a little undersized, I think that'd be a great addition to our team. Like I said, maybe my thing is like I think Jason Tatum is the number one guy, and I think he can be a number one guy in the team.
Yeah,
And so
yeah, because if we're talking about a true point guard, like we're better off getting Mike Conley or somebody, or Kyle Lowry who has experience. I just don't think we need young guys right now. Like Jason Tatum is really not in his peak prime, but he's like in his Kobe Bryant year early prime. You know what I'm saying? Where he can be a second leading. He could be the first guy on the team to lead you to a championship as long as you got veteran players and a well-organized coach. I think we have to go after Kyle Lowry or Mike Conley. I'd rather prefer Kyle Lowry just because he has experience, championship experience, and we can get him on a cheaper deal if we do a sign and trade. Or we can sign him this year, actually, because he's a free agent. So I just don't think Lonzo Ball moves the needle. He would be a great addition if we can get him cheap. If we can get him cheap, is he a free agent this year? Yes, he
Lonzo,
is.
yeah, he's a free agent, but he's a restricted free agent. So obviously the Pelicans can match if they like. If they were like, yeah,
I wouldn't mind him, but I'm not gonna give him $20 million a year, and he's coming off the bench. You see what I'm saying? Because he just doesn't have the experience. If we're in a battle, if we're against the Brooklyn Nets, I don't trust Lonzo Ball. I trust Kyle Lowry because you want to know why? He can get to the free throw line, he can hit clutch shots, and he's been there. This is the time we have to get veteran players. Like no more young players, no more developing. Like we can have a couple young players, but like Shimi Ojale has to go, Carson Edwards has to go, Romeo Langford has to go. Like we have to turn those type of players into veteran players on our bench who can contribute, who's been in the trenches, and is not as you know what I'm saying, who just knows how to play the game.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you there. We definitely need some experience now that we have. Uh, we kind of have our young guys, our young core, but I kind of do like the addition of Alonzo Ball to this team. I think we could still get some veteran experience. I think depending on like what you think about Horford.
All Lonzo Ball is to me is a Terry Rozier. That's it.
You
We
think
could
it's
have
Terry
had
Rozier?
I mean, if you look at them, I mean, they push the ball up tempo style. They damn near have the same kind of percentage shooting almost. Like he's what Terry Rozier was, or Terry Rozier was just a little bit better. He played better defense, but that's what we had with Terry. To me, Lonzo Ball and Terry are not too far off to me because both of them can push the ball up the court very fast in transition. That's how we were so good in 18 because we were a fast transition team with Terry at the point guard instead of Kyrie and dribbling.
Mm-hmm.
So I see where you're going with that. He could be a good addition, but just like Terry when he was with us, when we went Game 7, he bricked every shot just because he hasn't been in that position, and he's just not a great shooter. I mean, I think, man, like honestly, like Lonzo would be really good. Like I wouldn't mind getting him. Don't get me wrong, but at this point, we need a veteran point guard.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna
leading.
See, yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that statement. It's like we do need some veteran experience. I think I would love to get rid of Tristan Thompson. I know he's an NBA champion, but there's just too much baby mama drama there to me. Where it's like I want that guy off the team, man.
Yeah, man, me too.
I just don't want to deal with Kardashian drama. Kardashian curse. I still think it's real. So
Oh
goodbye.
yeah.
Have a great time. Um, and it looks like we're gonna get this chance to see some guys that we're kind of Euro stashing, and that is Yam Madar.
Yeah.
A point guard. We'll see what he becomes. Like if he's gonna be anything special. Um, not saying that I'm expecting anything from him.
Mhm.
But it would be interesting to see like what he becomes or if like anything happens.
He has
And
good speed.
yeah, I mean we'll see. Like it'll be a very interesting year for the Boston Celtics. Brad Stevens, being the GM or the president of basketball operations. My concern obviously is going to be like, are we going to be able to get the trade pieces? Are we going to be able to sign the free agents that we need to get over the hump and get to a championship? Maybe not even a championship
What?
next year, but at least get the pieces ready so that the next year, which I think could be a year where we contend, but I'm not going to hold my breath on it because I already know the Boston Celtics. They always, unfortunately, ever since we won that championship in 2008, they've always kind of just always signed some random guys. Like I still remember that Shaq signing, and it was just kind of one of those things you looked at and you're like,
Well, that's Wade Grosbeck for you.
you know,
He just loves the Hollywood story. He loves big time. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
this is the same owner who sat down with J Lo and Alex Rodriguez, and I forgot who it was. I think Michael Jordan. Like he's just. That's why he got Kyrie Irving. That's
yeah,
why he got Tristan Thompson. You see what I'm saying? Like That's why he got Ime because of Nia Long. Like, if you look at the track record with the guy, he's cutting the check. Like, Wake has a lot of say so in this. Like, yeah, Brad is the president, Danny was, but he has a lot of say because at the end of the day, it's his team. He
yeah.
has part ownership stake of it. He cares about the storyline. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, oh man, here we go again. And we got another Hollywood couple. And that was another red flag as well with me with Emmett. But we'll see what he does.
Yeah, we'll see what he does. This is going to be, an ongoing scenario for us Celtics fans. We're still, having hope that we can, kind of overcome the obstacles
What
of the Danny Ainge regime. What are you going to say, Terry?
what do you think about Marcus Smart, man? It seems like he's really in the shadows right now. Like he's hiding. Like you know what I'm saying? Like, please don't trade me. Like he hasn't. Like nobody's talking about trading him, but they're talking about trading Jaylen Brown so ASAP. You know what I'm saying? Like he should be the first person you trade, if anything,
Yeah. What the heck?
to get rid of him.
Yeah. I mean, I think you do have to get rid of a guy like Marcus Smart. Like I love Marcus Smart. I love his hustle. I love his tenacity. But the problem is that there's limitations to his game. Like his 3-point shot is very inconsistent, and I think we can get a lot of value out of him.
And Andy picked up more weight. He's not the same how he was when he first came in the league, when he was more slimmer.
Mm-hmm.
I think like when he got his recent contract, I think they put like a $600,000 like a bonus to keep his weight down or something like that because he was so much out of weight. Even last year, like he looked gassed. Like he's not the same hustle Marcus Smart from 2013 or 14. You know what I'm saying? Going at it, diving on the floor. Like he's not that anymore. He's like what, 27 now? He's still young, but I can tell he just doesn't. He doesn't have that fire in him no more. Like like he's not that anymore. Like when we went far in 18, like he had that fire. The years before, he had that fire, but once Kyrie got there, it seemed like I don't know, man. Like I think we should get rid of him, and he shoots the ball too much too now. He that just messes up the whole flow.
Yeah, most definitely. Justin, you said, "What up, guys? Dame to Chicago, aka make it happen.
Oh.
Haircut looking fresh. Oh man, I wish my Xfinity offered bonuses to keep our weight down." Yeah, man. I mean, I'm not sure Dame will go to Chicago. I think you guys have a lot of kind of facial reconstruction surgery to happen for that team, but we'll see what happens. It sucks that you guys didn't get to keep your pick, but we'll see if the Vucevic Zach LaVine combo will work next year. I'm not sure if it will, but you can always be hopeful about it.
To Chicago, that's I don't know.
No, Chicago. I feel like Chicago has kind of turned into you need to kind of homegrown players, man.
Yeah.
It's really sad because I think Chicago, obviously, they have the lore of Michael Jordan and those Chicago Bulls, but those days are so long and gone that
Oh yeah.
you have a new regime in there, and it just feels like the players that they've drafted, they keep drafting players that just haven't worked out. I believe they traded away Wendell Carter Jr. if I'm not mistaken, right? And got they have Kobe White, who is okay, but not my first choice in terms of the guy I would have taken in that draft class. But we'll see what happens in Chicago. But with that being said, I think the next story to talk about Tyrese is, of course, this Kevin Durant story. Are you familiar with what happened this afternoon?
I'm not, honestly. I seen something on it, but I didn't look into it. What happened?
All right, so I'm just going to give a little preface to everybody. So now we're talking about the Kevin Durant situation. So, Kevin Durant, is, a Twitter guy. He'll go on anybody's Twitter. He'll tweet at people. His Twitter finger game is strong. And so I think a couple of Toronto fans or kind of this, people that have their own podcast, or their own TV, YouTube channel type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that it's, he actually went on their space, and you had, for a guy that was used to like 200 people, apparently he had 14,000 in there. He had celebrities, he had Nick Wright, he had Kendrick Perkins, and it really just became just a talking point about Steph Curry, and the kind of Curry fans were like, "Oh, I'm a Curry fan," and just kind of the whole drama about like whose team it was, and was Kevin Durant really salty about the fans not liking him. And so that's what it really became about, when really it was supposed to be about basketball. And then the people that hosted, they were always talking over each other. They were talking over Kevin Durant. You had people just talking over each other. It was just a whole cluster mess. And I really think that was a missed opportunity for those guys to like pick Kevin Durant's brain about the game. And if I had an opportunity to have him on the show here, I would ask him a lot about the game, and rather than the stupid petty drama, man. Like, I know the petty drama can be fun because we can speculate on like, oh, Kevin Durant, he's pissed off about this stuff, and it was kind of one of those things that talked about KD getting double teamed versus Steph Curry, and they kind of showed the stats for that, and so that's basically all it was this afternoon. But at the end of the day, they got Tyrese, he bought a mug. Okay,
Yes,
Tyrese, I
sir.
see you, man. I see you. You got the mug.
Yeah, for my coffee.
I feel it. I feel it. Thank you so much for that.
No problem.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of basically it. I mean, like, what do you make of the? I know I probably gave like a terrible rendition of it, but what do you make of the whole?
Oh, you're fine.
What do you think of the whole situation?
Well, I think that just explains that's Kevin Durant, man. Like, he just I don't know, man. Like, he just doesn't know when to. I don't know, man. Like, it seems like he just wants to get in stuff on social media sometimes. Like, I feel like sometimes he's just so talented at the game. Like, he's just like, let me go mess with some people, or let me, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. But
See if I can find the. Let me see if I can find the audio. I think there might be some audio somewhere where we can listen to it. But it just kind of. It really, like, to me, what's frustrating to me is that, like, you're a small platform, relatively to the other guys out there, like a Rob Perez or any of these other kind of social media people like Kendrick Perkins and Nick Wright. And usually these things are kind of, those things are a little bit more political or like very PC in terms of like answers that will be given. And instead of like I said, instead of asking him questions about basketball, basically all you got in that was just arguments about Curry fans being salty at KD. KD kind of talking at them. It just kind of, to me, like, I just think it was just a huge missed opportunity from those guys. And those guys look, to me, I think they look like clowns, because it's like you really had the opportunity to talk to Kevin Durant, get to like actually pick his brain apart about the game, and instead of that, you're like, well, you're talking about Curry getting more double team than Kevin Durant, and him arguing the definition of a double team, and then it just became a whole situation where I was just like, guys. We were talking. I wanted to request a talk because I actually wanted to talk to him about the NBA and its refereeing and that type of stuff.
Hmm.
And instead of getting got that kind of stuff more interesting, having everybody on the world watching, it's like almost like somebody choking away, missed free throws when you're down two. It's like
Yeah.
that to me is what it was for those guys, and it's like you really blew the opportunity.
Yep. That's crazy. Yeah, I didn't even know that until you just told me.
Yeah, and
Wow.
that's kind of like the kind of situation. I mean, I'll kind of point out to where it was. This space here, it's been closed. I mean, that to me
The
is
YouTube
where I.
channel or?
No, it was a space on Twitter, so it's like kind of
Oh,
like
okay.
Clubhouse type of deal.
Yeah.
And and to me, it's like instead of letting Kevin Durant talk, they were talking over him, and it was just kind of one of those things. You were like, yeah, I was left more annoyed than anything else because I really thought that they could have like really done something there.
Yeah. I mean, they blew it.
And what did Justin said? If KD was 90s or even early 2000s, he'd be a dweeb, no social media. The Giannis block or Tayshaun Prince's block of Reggie Miller in the 2003 Eastern Conference Final. I can't even remember that one. So let me go on YouTube and kind of get that. Let me get that up. I need to get reminded of this Tayshaun Prince block. Um, Blocks Reggie Miller. Let's see here. We'll put this up for you guys. Let's see here. Let me see it. Let me see it. No, I mean, I think it has to go to the Giannis block, man. Like when Giannis is jumping like, 40-inch vert in the air. The problem is Reggie Miller at this point, he was old. Like
Yeah.
he wasn't like the young Reggie Miller, maybe could get a little bit more bounce. Like to me, like that block was amazing because, it saved them 2 points, but I think the reason why the Giannis block was so big is because it was so close at that point. Like if we can kind of look back at that Giannis block, and I'll put it up on the YouTube. Um, this to me was just kind of one of those things we look at it. Hopefully, it's this to me, you save a bucket. You're up two. You got a nice pick and roll. And it was great recovery because right there, the Bucks were in an ice coverage at this point. It was kind of one of those things. You looked at it. It was kind of a more so. Actually, it wasn't really ice. It was more so of a drop coverage. PJ Tucker fighting over the screen, and really Giannis had a lot to recover because he didn't want Devin Booker to score. And so to me, this was more athletically better, and I think it's really on par with LeBron James's block because at this point, Ayton was already up in the air, and Giannis had to recover and already
That
jump
was a
up and try
great
to block
block.
it.
My friend said the same thing. He said that might be up there with the LeBron James block on Iggy, and I agree too. That was a spectacular block.
Yeah, and we kind of looked at the scores, right? It was 101-99, and that score was 67 to like 69 or something like that. It was like a very low scoring game back in the day. Um, but with that being said, I think the other thing to kind of talk about here is more so of, I would honestly say the Team USA drama. Like what we saw them lose 2 games in a row. Tyrese, I don't know if you were watching those games.
Oh yeah.
What do you think of Team USA at this point?
I think they're gonna get it together. I think isn't Devin Booker and Chris Middleton going there after the finals for Tokyo?
Mm-hmm.
So I think we'll be fine. Once we get those two, we're gonna be fine. I just think they weren't going their hardest. But once they get Booker and Chris, we're gonna win it.
Yeah. My frustrating thing was like I saw the clip of Jason Tatum falling asleep on defense. I know that's not his game, but as a coach, it just irks me because you basically just were you're not really playing hard, and like you said, like it's not like you're not playing, you're just not playing. You're just you're hoping that your offense will do enough.
Well,
Um,
too, I think too they don't want to get hurt for exhibition. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Because they still have the regular season coming up. They have a plan coming to this year
Mhm.
with the NBA agreeing with the NBA PA. So, uh, they just don't want to get hurt. I understand it. So they're probably going like 50% or less. But I think when it's time to really go, they're gonna, go 75%.
Yeah. And like you said, I think they'll still get it together. I think a lot of us like to overreact when Team USA loses to teams like Nigeria and Australia. Especially Nigeria, I think was the bigger shock because Nigeria is not known as an NBA, or sorry, not NBA, but like a FIBA powerhouse. Usually, it's like
Hmm.
your France, your Australias, even your Canadas can be on the rise, but not Nigeria. But
Nigeria, yeah, that kind of threw me off too.
but you gotta give credit to Nigeria, man. They played their butts off,
They
and
they have Precious Achua too. I think
yeah, a guy I thought the
he had a
Celtics,
great block on KD.
should have drafted, but that's neither here nor there.
we passed up on so many like great players that we could have had. It's so sad, man. Like, oh man, it's crazy, man. I don't even get excited no more. I just wait to see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Like you said, we'll see what happens. With the Celtics and all that stuff. Like I said, we could probably go on for 20 hours talking about the Celtics and the moves that they should make and trade scenarios and stuff like that.
Just looking at some Dame news right now, I think, man, I think that Warrior stuff is really true. I think,
You think the Warrior? Okay,
yeah, man, especially with Draymond down there, like,
Draymond doing his recruiting, just getting some.
yeah, if they can get Katie, they can get the hometown kid, man.
I mean, that might
Like,
be.
just think about it. That would be crazy. Three
Yeah, I think,
shooters,
yeah. I mean,
defensive players, like,
I love your Celtics rants. Hey man, I'm gonna save my Celtics rants for this coming year when we'll see what happens with Udoka and Brad Stevens kind of at the presidential role. And like I said, we will update you guys on the news and rumors about the Boston Celtics. Kind of if they're gonna get anybody in free agency, like you said. I
when
like. Oh, sorry, what were you gonna say, Tyrese?
when is free agency? Is it next month?
I think as soon as I think it's next month or as soon as the draft is over, I think free agency starts. So
Okay.
so draft is over. You get a couple weeks, and then free agency opens up. Especially for those restricted free agents, they're kind of like the first ones to come up because it's like the final chance before you let everybody
Mm-hmm.
kind of try and sign people. And so that's when the real game is going to begin for these teams, and they're trying to basically load up because I think the biggest thing for me for this free agency coming up is like who can the Celtics get in free agency. We talked a lot about Kyle Lowry. We talked to maybe even Chris Paul if he's rejecting his player option and trying to get 2 years. Like I honestly think that they should do that. But there's a lot of free agents coming up.
What do
Kawhi
you what
Leonard.
do you think about Duncan Robinson coming home to Boston?
I like it, man. I know that I really like his game. I think he is a great player. The problem for me is like how much are we going to pay him because my concern is that he's going to turn into a guy like Bertans or like Otto Porter Jr. Well, more so like Bertans. And
You think
Bertans in the
so? I think he's an exceptional shooter, especially when Tatum sometimes gets sluggish. I think on those screens, man, like he can just light it up. He can hit 3-point shots like three times in a row, and that can be the nail in the coffin. I think we should be going really hard for him, along with some size.
yeah, I just think having bigger guards, like you talked about, we have a lot of small guards, guys that are kind of like undersized at their positions. The thing with basketball um, is that it's moving towards like you have to be 6'5" and taller almost.
Mm-hmm.
Like unless you're exceptional at like 6'2", 6'3", you really have to be like an exceptional player to be short. And short 6'2" is short in the NBA. And that's where I think and that's where I think we fall into trouble because we have guys like I know those guys are probably a little taller, but guys like Carson Edwards are like 5'11".
Oh God, God,
Um,
yeah.
you
I
know,
think he's the same height as IT was. I think like 5'9.5", 5'10".
yeah, and it's like I understand that the Celtics drafted him. I know that people were hyped about him because he had like a great game, but at the same time, it's like one of those things you look at it and you're like, dang, that's not
I
very
just
good.
I just want to know, man. Like, who drafted those guys? Was it Danny? Was it
I
was
think
it Austin who had a hand in it? Like,
I think it was
who?
Danny, man. I think, but the problem is, it's like you think about it, it's like they did so well with like Brown and Tatum, and then all of a sudden it like just went hugely downhill. Uh, and I wonder if they had like an inside guy that knew about like those two guys like on the come up, and we're like, yeah,
Like, did they fire a scout guy who went from Smart to Brown to Tatum to that? Like, somebody got fired.
yeah,
Somebody got fired with.
they needed to. I mean, that was just terrible. I mean, just looking at the guys that we had, it was like I couldn't believe it. Like as soon as like we got Brown and Tatum, we're like, okay, we made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. We have these draft picks. Let's use them. Let's try and get Kawhi. Let's try and get even let's try and get some guys. And then it just turned into Carson Edwards, and then it turned to Romeo Langford, and then it turned into Naismith, and it just kind of
Then
went.
it's like Tristan Thompson. It's like what? Like
Went
we have so many guys we can package. Like
yeah.
it's the thing is, it's just who's gonna want those guys? Because you can have guys, but who's gonna want a Romeo Langford? Like it's pretty much, it's not to be rude, but it's like having garbage. Like if they didn't do nothing for you guys, what do you think he's gonna do for my team? And I'm rebuilding.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like they're untradeable because nobody wants them.
Exactly. And we'll see what happens, man. Like this is going to be a very fun free agency. I think there's going to be a lot of like moving parts, and I think it's going to make the NBA a little bit more fun. When we saw the Nets, we were like a little worried about it. But we saw that their rebounding is really what killed the Brooklyn Nets this season. So we'll see what happens. Next season we'll see what happens with that team.
Do you think any of those guys can be on the move this year?
No, I think they're going to try and keep it and try it to go back again. I think that it's one of those things that you can make the argument that because Kyrie Irving was hurt, because James Harden basically was on one leg, that they didn't fully achieve it and they just want to run it back. And we'll see what happens, man. Like I think that they can do it, but the problem is that you have to be historically great on offense. And the thing is like, in the regular season when you're playing like it's not to disrespect you, Justin, but you're playing your Chicago's, you're playing your Cavaliers, you're playing your Detroits. It's like you look at those teams and you're like, damn, we're you look amazingly offensively, but then like when you go to the playoffs,
defensive, yeah.
When you go to the playoffs, defense just ramps up to a whole nother level, and for some reason, I think it happens in all sports. Playoffs, it's just a different monster. Like you can't. There's no coasting. There's no like holding anything back. And I just felt like at times they did hold some things back because of the injuries, because they were so limited on the boards. That it's really the reason why I think the Bucks won that series is because they were able to get so many offensive rebounds and second chance points that allowed them to really finish the game strong.
You think so? With the Bucks?
Yeah,
I could see that. Yeah, and I think too with going to the Bucks, I think them having Giannis at center is just a nightmare for Ayton. It just looks like a nightmare for him, man. Like getting blocked, like he's just bullying him.
Yeah.
Second chance points, 3-point plays. Like they have the blueprint now. I think the Bucks win from here on out. I think they win in 6, man.
You think they win in 6? They're going to win these 2 and call it good?
Yeah, man. Chris Paul doesn't look the part. Some with his wrist, it looks like he has like tape on it, I think. He's not 100%. Booker can't do it all by himself. I mean, unless Cam Johnson drops 25 to 30, then they got a great chance, but I think the Bucks got it. I think winning those 2 games, they know if we win this game. And Giannis, too, he just seems so locked in watching his press conference interview. Like he just looks so locked in. Like I want to get this ring because like how the hell does my brother have a ring and he's just sitting on the bench with the Lakers? You know what I'm saying? Like he I think he's hungry, man. I think they're gonna win this game tomorrow, and they're gonna finish it off in Milwaukee.
Yeah, I think it'll be. I think it'll be a very interesting series. I honestly think it's going to go 7 games, and I think I'm still going Suns in 7, but
Ooh,
I'm starting to kind of see the Bucks kind of hit their stride, especially in the finals. And when you do, and you don't have as many injuries. Chris Paul. I'm not making excuses for him. He's playing particularly well, but Aiton right now is suffering from the fact that he has really been a little bit disappointing these last 2 games, and we'll see if he kind of rebounds. I know that he's basically the guy that's supposed to guard Giannis, and if Giannis gets him in foul trouble, it's over. Like because
oh
he's
yeah,
he's the only guy with size and really the speed to keep up with Giannis. Not saying that he's faster than Giannis, but he can at least be agile enough to like hit beat the angle with Giannis and be in front and take those shots that Giannis does in the post.
Giannis
Because
is just playing bully ball, man. Like
he
he's
really
just bullying them. Like Jay Crowder, he's bullying them. He's bullying him. He's bullying Aiton. Like it just looks like they're gonna beat them in 6, man. Like I mean, I could be wrong. They could lose tomorrow, but I just think Phoenix relies too much on the 3 ball. I think Booker Booker did really good, but Chris Paul, he's not really getting to the free throw line like that. He's looking sluggish, like off. I just think he's gonna need a double double if they win tomorrow.
yeah.
25 and 10.
I think you're going to need a virtuoso from him or Aiton. And the problem is that they can't really exploit Aiton with the way that Giannis or even Brook Lopez is guarding him. So it'll be a very interesting series, or it'll be an interesting game tomorrow
Oh
to
yeah.
see like what happens with them. So we'll be definitely keeping an eye out as we watch them play, as we watch them do their thing. Uh, but Tyrese, I kind of want to talk about this. We are on Hoops Hype right now, and I really want to look at the upcoming free agencies. And this is
Okay.
them ranking their free agents right now. So, and just telling me, the thing I want to ask is, where are they going? And basically that's it. I just want to know like what you think of where they should go. And the first guy we're going to talk about is Kawhi Leonard. The unfortunate news about him is that he did have a partially torn ACL injury, so we'll see what happens
Seen
with
that.
that. But where do you think is a good fit for Kawhi Leonard? Do you think he re-signs with the Clippers?
Um, that's a tough one. Oh man. Oh man, that's a very tough one. In a way, I can see that happening, but then again, if they can attract some better pieces around,
Mm-hmm.
like as far as bench players, because Rondo's getting old. Some games he didn't even play. He could leave.
Yeah, I think he is gonna leave. I don't see. I just don't. When I look at that team, I just don't really see really anything to be like excited about. Like you have an aging Rondo who didn't play. You have Man, kind of the emerging kind of young player. Paul George kind of really choking in the clutch moments. Not being that number 1 guy, or at
Could
least the number 2 guy. And so I just think that he's probably going to look for a different team. And I'm curious
could
to
you
know.
see Boston with Ma and the assistant head coach? I mean, the assistant coach where they coached him in San Antonio. Can you see him joining Boston? That could be
Maybe
a that could be a place.
Boston could be one, but I think the problem is that we already have Tatum, who's kind of already in that role of Leonard.
Yeah, that's true. But you can't, especially going against Brooklyn. You have to have a guy like Kawhi, JT, who can, like with defense, that can score. Because with him, they got a 7-foot monster. Like he almost knocked the Bucks out by himself.
True. And the other thing too about the Lillard, or sorry, the Kawhi situation is that it looks like the doctors misdiagnosed his injury, and what happened last time when he got misdiagnosed by a team, he was gone. And
Yeah.
so I think
Whoa.
he's going to be gone from Clipperland, and we'll see where he goes. Like I could definitely see him going to. I honestly think he could be a Knick. As crazy as that
Ooh,
sounds,
okay.
I just think that he wants to be in a big market. He did the LA thing. I think he made a mistake in going to the Clippers. He really should have went to the Lakers. If he wanted. I know that he would share the spotlight with LeBron, and that's not really his MO. But I think if he really wanted to be that guy, he would have went there, and really, kind of played with
Really?
LeBron, win his championships, and then go to the Knicks and revitalize that franchise. I think that franchise is in desperate need of a savior of some sort,
Mhm.
and I think the idea of him saving the franchise, I think that'd be something that you should look at, and so I think that he's going to potentially go there as his next option.
What about Philly?
Philly, no, he needs shooters around him, and the problem is when you have Ben Simmons on the team, it's
I think they're
just
going to trade Ben. I think they're going to trade Ben to make cap space, and I think they could be going after Kawhi because they have. I think they do. No, they don't have Sam Cassell on the Sixers. Do they have Sam?
no. I think
Think
he's
they?
on. I think he was on the. Let me see where he's at.
Oh, he is he. Shit. Wait, hold on. I think he.
He was on the Wizards, I think, or no, he was. Oh
Oh
no, he was.
no.
Yeah, no, he is the assistant coach for the 76ers.
Yeah, so that could play a big role because I remember when he was with the Clippers last year, he was really close with Kawhi. I always seen them like laughing on the bench, like giggling, like not, you know what I'm saying? Like, when they point the
Yeah,
camera sometimes, like he could go to the Sixers, man, especially with Doc
yeah.
and Joel Embiid.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a scenario that you could see him going to. Justin, gonna get some sleep. Good night, guys. Good night, Justin. We'll see next time we stream.
Because
Um,
one thing about Kawhi is I think he wants to be coached by a black coach.
True. I
That's
mean,
why he wanted That's why he went to the Clippers in the first place with Doc, and then it didn't work out, and then they got Tyrod Lue to step up. I think he wants to be coached by a black coach.
yeah,
Now, the thing is, he already went with Doc and it didn't work out. Could he go with Ma? He won with him in San Antonio. He won with the other guy. I mean, there's not too many black coaches that coached him before or have, you know what I'm saying, besides
yeah,
Ma.
yeah. I mean, that definitely could be a possibility. I think that the Celtics should be in the running for him again. My only concern is that he plays the same role as Tatum, and so that to me is going to be one of those scenarios. I look at it and I'm concerned that that might be an issue with Jason Tatum at least not having the rock, and then you move Jalen Brown to the third guy, and it just creates a whole scenario with that team where I think there might be some.
You think so? I think that'll bring out the best in Tatum just because Kawhi's like a silent guy, goes on the floor and does it all. He might not score 35 points, but he's going to get you 24, 25 points with rebounds and defense. Like, I don't think Tatum really cares about the points. I think he just wants to win. And he wants to be with somebody who's won and who leaves it on the floor in a suitable fashion way and who really he backs his game up. I think Kawhi would be a great mentor for Jason Tatum. He just goes out there, gets it done. You know what I'm saying? I can see that's what Tatum's trying to become, but it's kind of hard when you don't have, when you're probably coming into the NBA, you don't have players like that around you. I think Kawhi would be really good. Because if we get somebody like Bradley Beal around Tatum, like he's just gonna try to shoot the ball all day. But I think Kawhi could come to us, man. Like I really do.
Yeah. And I just put that question in the chat. Do you think that Kawhi is going to come to Boston? Let us know in the comment section, or if you guys are watching us right now via the chat, let us know if you think that Kawhi could go to Boston for reasons of having a great team around him. Let us know in the comment section down below or in the live chat. The next player we're going to move on to is Chris Paul. Obviously, this is based on if he has a player option, if he's going to decline it or accept it. Chris Paul is one of those guys that I think if the Suns win, I could definitely see him staying. But if they lose, I definitely could see him going to a new team. And the question for me is going to be, what team would that be? Would it be the Lakers? Could it potentially be the Celtics as a team that could be interested in him? The Knicks could also be interested in a point guard. They need someone. Tyrese, where do you see a guy like Chris Paul going?
The Lakers.
Lakers?
Yep.
Team up with Braun?
Yeah, I think come on, 16 years, you get to the finals, you lose. If I'm him, I'm making sure my next season I'm getting there and I'm winning it. I'm going with LeBron James, Anthony Davis. I mean, that's his best chance, man. I think if he goes to the Lakers and they get some better pieces around, veteran players, they can win it all easily.
Yeah, I think they definitely need to get rid of Kyle Kuzma. That's a
Oh
guy
yeah,
that I would get rid of. I could see what you could get for KCP. I know that Caldwell Pope played really well 2 years ago, but I'd be curious to see if they could get maybe another better role player.
the only thing with KCP is what teams are going to want him because he sometimes is a off the court trouble guy. You know what I'm saying? Recently, I think he just got into something, and then before, like a couple years ago, he was on like a ankle monitor for for missing his house arrest date or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
KCP, I don't know, man. I don't know how high his stock is with his problems.
Yeah, and then you also got Caruso with his situation in
Problem,
Texas.
yeah, with the weed thing, yeah, man.
So, I mean, we'll see what happens. Lakers are going to be a very interesting team to watch, and if Chris Paul goes to them, I think that they would be a nice addition. To have someone not take to get the hands out of LeBron's or to get the ball out of LeBron's hands and put it into Chris Paul and let him kind of operate.
Because Schroeder was bad. They need a real true point guard. Like in the
Yeah.
bubble, they got away with it. You know what I'm saying? But because it was more like pickup ball, but they need a
Yeah.
point guard.
Yeah, and they'll be curious to see like what which guy that they'll get in that scenario. So, I could definitely see that being the case. The next player we should move on to is Mike Conley. Played for Utah. Didn't really play this year due to a hamstring injury. That I feel like he always seems to like get those little injuries during the playoffs. It almost kind of reminds me of Chris Paul in that manner. Where do you think a guy like Mike Conley could fit?
Mm. It's kind of tough because if Kawhi resigns, I could see them getting Mike Conley. Another place I can see Mike Conley going is because I know he's gonna want some money this year because this is like his final big last medium sized contract. I could see him honestly also going to maybe the Clippers or the Celtics or the Knicks, one of those three.
Yeah, I see the Knicks more because I think what they're going to do is they're going to try and trade up in the draft to get. I think they're going to trade up to get Moses Moody, who's been rising up in the draft boards recently. I like his game. I think he's going to be a really good point guard. And so I think like being behind a guy like Mike Conley in New York, we'll see what Mike Conley's contract situation will be. He's a little bit older, and I just think that with him, it's like you never know what you're going to get. But if you can kind of have him be the next guy, I know that you have D Rose, but I think D Rose is getting a little older. You can have D Rose move back, make him the sixth man, and kind of have Mike Conley, ready the guy. Moses Moody, I think, is who they're going to try and trade for and get him going for the next coming season. So I think that's where I lean my opinion towards that. I think he's going to go to the Knicks. I think the other option obviously would be the Boston Celtics. I think it'd be the Boston Celtics, a steady point guard who, like I said, shot 41% from 3-point land. That's exactly what we need from a point guard. To kind of create, operate, make some space, and still let Tatum and Brown have their shots. If we don't decide to sign someone extra.
Yeah, I can certainly see him going with the Knicks. Out of all the three teams I named, the other two teams, I think he can highly probably sign with the Knicks. Just because the Knicks move the ball around a lot. Like, they swing the ball around, and he was with that, like, in Utah. So it's kind of like a similar system with Thibs.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see him going to the Knicks for sure. Yeah, because he's gonna want some money. It's it's not gonna be $15 million. He's probably gonna want like $22 to $25 million a year.
Yeah, I just think that it's gonna be. I just don't. I'm not sure if he's gonna get that much money. I think he's gonna get that 15 to 18. I think that's kind of where.
Really?
Yeah, I just think that it's one of those things you look at it and you're like, can he really these last couple years he's always been hurt, and it's like, can you rely
Yeah,
on him,
that's true.
in the playoffs when you need him most? I mean, Utah desperately needed him to be back in that NBA second round against the Utah Jazz, and that would have been a different ball game, I think. But it is what it is at this point, and you hope that Mike Conley can recover from that injury and hopefully get his team going in some respect. Next guy we'll talk about is John Collins. He's going to be a restricted free agent. He's playing. He played for Atlanta, played really well in the playoffs, made a name for himself, and he's going to be wanting the supermax, man. So, looking at a guy like John Collins, do you think that John Collins will stay in Atlanta, or do you think that he'll be moving on to a different team?
That's hard to say because they went very far. I don't know. John Collins, I could see him potentially going to Miami.
Go to Miami, okay. Just kind of like if they don't get Kawhi Leonard or kind of one of those players.
I don't think they're gonna get Kawhi, so I think the Heat could try to go heavily after John Collins, because they can have him at that power forward position next to Bam, and I think that would be really great. Yeah, and plus he can stretch the floor. You know what I'm saying? I think he's gonna go to the Heat.
Yeah, I could see that too. I just think that the Atlanta Hawks are going to find a way to re-sign him. I think that they really should keep that core together because I think with another year of experience, that core could be really, really good. And I just think with his high leaping ability on offense, I just think that it allows Trae Young to be a little bit more dynamic in his playmaking, and just have another option for him to kind of just throw it off the glass or even just kind of throw those oops to him. And get him really in the pick and roll. I think if he can really, the thing for me is like if he can be, as consistent this year, 3-point percentage wise for next year and basically the rest of his career, I think that he would be a really solid player to have around Trae Young. The question for me though for that is going to be, is he worth the supermax? I don't think so. I think he's kind of worth a little bit less than the max contract. I know that's what he's wanting.
Right.
And all these players want it, so it's not like it's a big, it's not a big secret. But the question is, what other team is going to be willing to pay for a guy like John Collins?
I think the Heat, man. I think the reason why I think he leaves the Hawks is you just don't know what the future is with those other pieces. Lou Williams is old already. He's not going to be coming off the. He's probably going to be gone, or retire soon. Who else do they have? Clint Capella, who knows if he's going to be there long term. Most of these guys got traded there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They didn't sign there. They got traded there. So it's going to depend on a lot of those guys that got traded there. Like, didn't Bogdanovich get traded there?
No, he signed there. Like he was restricted.
Okay, he signed there, but Lou Williams, Clint Capella, Gallinari, and there was somebody else who got traded there. Oh, man. Who else got traded there? I can't think of his name, but because, those guys I named, Clint Capella and, Gallinari and Lou Williams, those were 3 key pieces.
Yeah.
If two of those guys move on, they're going to be the same Hawks.
Yeah, but I think they would. I think the thing is like I actually don't mind them being the same Hawks because now if you add DeAndre Hunter, who was hurt this year, and then you add, Cam Reddish, who's starting to emerge as a very promising young player with a lot in his skill in his toolbox. I really think that I think this Hawks team can be dangerous. I kind of dubbed them as my dynasty of the East because of how deep they are. And I think their window right now is similar to what Boston had a couple years back, but maybe even a little bit deeper than what Boston had.
Yeah, that's true. And Nick McMillan, they love playing for him, and they just signed him on a long term. So yeah, he could stay. I just remembered that. So yeah, he very well could resign, but it just comes down to the numbers. That's what it comes down to.
Exactly.
Are they going to pay him fairly?
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the biggest question mark going in for John Collins. So if any Hawks fans are out there, let us know in the comment section down below or in the chat or even tweet at me at the Charge Streams. Put this up on Twitter so you guys can see the Twitter at the Charge Stream. you know, do you think that John Collins should stay with the team, or do you think that he should leave? Let us know in the comment section down below. And the last reason that I wanted to talk about really is DeMar DeRozan.
Mm.
Kind of in his, kind of a little bit, and then later in his prime, not as as young as he once was. Joined the Spurs, played really well for them, but just hasn't gotten over the hump. Tyrese, if you are DeMar DeRozan, where are you going?
Hmm. Trying to think.
Because there's
One is the Lakers, just because I'm from there. Um, Two, maybe the Knicks. Three, maybe that's tough because because DeMar DeRozan's kind of like, I don't know, man. Like he's a good, jump shooter on a, 2-point jump shooter, but 3-point shots, he's just not there. And in this game, you got to shoot a lot of threes, man. I'm just trying to. I could see the Lakers.
I think the Lakers, and that's the only option for him. I think he could really take over the Kyle Kuzma role, or the role that LeBron James and the Lakers wanted Kyle Kuzma to be. A scorer, whether that's 3-point shot or just driving in the lane. Kind of like Lou Williams in a sense, where it's like he's a very good scorer, and that's basically all you need him to do. Because I think when LeBron James was off and when Anthony Davis was injured, like you got nothing out of that team offensively. Like when Kyle Kuzma was on the court, I just felt like you got zero, on the court, and it's just kind of one of those things. You look at it, and it's like, Kyle Kuzma didn't really produce as much. You had Horton Tucker, who I think is going to be a pretty good player in this league. You also have, Alex Caruso, who I think has kind of peaked at the point where it's like that's what you're going to get with Caruso, just a hustle guy, can hit some shots and do the things that he does. But you need someone to score the rock when LeBron's not in the court, and so I think if you add DeMar DeRozan, just basically to just go in, get those shots in, I think he'll do enough to kind of hold the fort down until LeBron James and maybe potentially Anthony Davis come back onto the court. And I just think that to me is the best fit. Other than that, I don't really see him fitting anywhere else. It'd be tough.
Yeah, man, that's the only spot I can really see him going is the Lakers. Maybe I could see there or the Knicks.
I could potentially see him going back to Toronto. As kind of like
that's what I was thinking too. But Kyle Lowry's decision is still uncertain. If he leaves, he's not going back to Toronto. It's either going to be with Lowry or it's going to be nothing, because that's like his brother.
True. But I do think that the draft pick that the Raptors will get, I think it'll be Suggs. And if it is Suggs, I think you can potentially see him and Suggs have a good a little 1-2 combo.
What draft? What pick do they have? What number is it?
The Raptors have the 4th pick.
Whoa, I didn't know that. So yeah, they and then with what's his name? What's his name, man? Oh man.
Which one? Siakam, OG?
Siakam, yeah, Siakam. He's getting surgery, so he's gonna get back healthy. OG Anunoby looked real good last year in the bubble. If they can get DeMar DeRozan and sign him on not a crazy deal, but $23 million a year, and they can resign, Kyle Lowry and trade that 4th pick, and maybe get someone like, I don't know, who knows? They could try to go after Dame.
Yeah, I think that might be, that could be a lethal combination. You get those two guys up in the north, get them up in the 6th, and see if they can't do something to really help that team. That's going to be the biggest question mark for me. With a guy like DeMar DeRozan, is like, where's his best fit? I still think it's going to be the Lakers, just because of everything that I've kind of seen with those guys. But at the end of the day, we'll see what happens, man. I think it'll be a fun free agency class, with a lot of guys. We still haven't talked about Kyle Lowry, Lonzo Ball, Hardaway Jr., Norman Powell, Dinwiddie, another guy. Derrick Rose also being on the team. Like you talked about, Duncan Robinson even. Schroeder after the stuff he had. Rashard Holmes, Victor Oladipo being a free agent, Kendrick Nunn. Serge Ibaka. I mean, there's so many guys out here that are really up for who wants them, and that's going to be the best part about it. We'll find out as we kind of move towards free agency in the coming weeks.
Coming weeks.
But other than that, I'm not sure if there's any other news. The only thing I just kind of want to talk
Just
about
to
was
cut
just the
you
free
off
agency.
real quick, what's his name? I didn't even know Ma was at the Tokyo, practice stuff for the USA team. I just
Yeah,
seen him and Tatum like practicing right now, and the assistant he just hired is there as well, working out with Tatum and all the other players. So this could be a huge recruiting opportunity for
yeah.
us.
I hope that
I also see Steve Kerr. Oh yeah, this.
Yeah, I hope we do get some guys to recruit to the Celtics. I think the Celtics would be a much better team, obviously with some free agents pickups. Besides kind of like the role players, kind of getting a big name splash. Try to get Tatum to get some guys there, secretly. But we'll find out. It's going to be a very fun, like I said, very fun free agency extravaganza with news and rumors. And we'll find
Mm-hmm.
out who's really going to be up there for free agency watch. And before we get out of here, I just kind of wanted to look at the Athletic in terms of their mock draft. The draft is coming up in 2 weeks. I will be live streaming, hopefully, depending on the game situations for my basketball team. I'm hoping that doesn't affect it too much. But we will be talking about it, whether that is live during the draft or whether that's after the draft. We will let you know the day of, or a couple days before, to let you know what that's going on. But just kind of update you on what teams are looking at. First of all, we got the Detroit Pistons picking Cade Cunningham. That's kind of been the big thing there. Number 2, the Houston Rockets. They are going to go with Jalen Green. Last time they did this mock draft,
Okay.
they had Jalen Suggs. So that's going to be a very
I like
interesting one
Jalen
there.
Green, man. He's repping the. I hope he reps the Valley hard wherever he goes.
And then, of course, you also have the Cleveland Cavaliers taking Evan Mobley. Apparently, no change there. I'm not really too sold on him, but we'll see what happens. Toronto Raptors are going to take Jalen Suggs. I think that'd be a great pickup, especially if Kyle Lowry leaves or if he stays. I think it'd be a good maturing process for him to just be there, work on his game, and to get really great experience on that team. 5, they have the Orlando Magic picking Scotty Barnes. Again, I am not sold on Scotty Barnes as much as a lot of people are. I think to me, he just reminds me of Aaron Gordon. And so, if you want another Aaron Gordon, you might as well have just kept him.
What about Jonathan Kuminga?
I think that's who they should take. I just think that there's potential with him to be a better scorer, not only just inside but also outside. I know he's very inefficient in the G League, but I think that you could get something out of him in the Orlando Magic, a much taller guy, and I think that he would be a much better fit.
Okay.
At 6, they have Jonathan Kuminga, who we just talked about. 7, if the Golden State Warriors still keep their pick, they're going with Keon Johnson, 19-year-old point guard. Previously, they had Josh Giddey. At 8, they had Davion Mitchell. I think that Davion Mitchell's too high on this list. I honestly think that the Orlando Magic should take Boat Night as a guy that could potentially, if you play your cards right, he could be the next guy for you, depending, what you think about Boat Night. 9, Sacramento Kings are looking to take Kai Jones. I know that he's a clutch athlete, clutch sports athlete. They just had their pro day. Which talking about that, let me go on a little rant here. The thing is like I don't mind if Clutch is gonna have a pro day. The thing is like some of the stuff that they do is just like they're blocking, the guys that are helping out with it. They're just dunking back and forth. I don't know what that really does because it's like I know that if you're 6'5" and above and athletic and in the NBA, that means if you're 6'5" and above and you're in the NBA, that means you're athletic enough to dunk the ball. And so it's
Right.
like I don't need to see you go up and down the court trying to dunk it.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
The only thing I want to know is how you do off catch and shoots, how you do off pick and rolls, what coverages you're looking at.
Who do you think is going to be the best in this draft class? Like, who would you, if you had the number 1 pick right now, who would you pick And who do you think is going to be the best, 5 to 10 years from now? Not just in college. Like who would you pick?
Oh man. I honestly think it's between Jalen Green and Jalen Suggs. I think those two guys are going to be really, really good. Not saying that Cade Cunningham won't be, but the problem with Cade at times is that I feel like I just don't know if he has that like sometimes he's a little too mellow for me in terms of like
Right.
just a little more chill than I would like. Whereas like I feel like Green and Suggs they play with so much passion, so much energy. Where like I could definitely see those guys being leaders of their own team one day. And you could definitely see that in Suggs and Green. So if I had to pick one, I would lean more towards Suggs than Green. But I don't think you
Oh,
can go wrong
okay.
with either of those two.
Yeah, Suggs is a dog, man. I would honestly pick Jalen Green just because he has length and he can shoot that ball, man.
Yeah, and he's
Um,
crazy athletic.
yeah, he's crazy athletic. Um, yeah, I think he's the best in the draft. I think Cade Cunningham just got gassed up a lot because he scored what 22 points a game. He was like damn there top 5 scorer or something like that in NCAA. Like they
Yeah.
usually put those guys at the top. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, he's pretty decent. Like he kind of reminds me of JT at Duke a little bit. Not
Yeah.
as far as his game a little bit um, with the mid jumpers, but other than that, he's okay. But I wouldn't say he's the number one pick.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. I think a lot of teams are trying to trade up to that number 2 or number 3 spot because I think they do want to take Jalen Green and kind of have him be like their number one guy um, for years on to come. But if we kind of move on the draft here, the Sacramento Kings looking to take Kai Jones. This athletic guy is really high on Kai Jones. I've seen him anywhere. This is the first time I've seen him in the top 10. Usually he's kind of somewhere in like the low teens. So it'll be
Mm-hmm.
interesting to see what happens with him. Like I said, a clutch sport agent. 10, the Pelicans, they have him taking Josh Giddey. I think Giddey could be a good player, but again, he's a project. Guy from Australia. We'll see what happens with him. A very young player, so he has definitely time for room to growth for growth and improvement. So I'm not so sure on him. 11, the Hornets are looking to take James Bouknight. I think this is where Bouknight, I think, could be a great player alongside LaMelo Ball. You get rid of Terrence Ross because his contract is going to be coming up in the near future. And I just think that he would be a good, solid piece
That's where
with,
he's projected to go as Charlotte.
yeah.
Hmm. Okay.
At 12, you got the San Antonio Spurs taking Jalen Johnson. To me, Jalen Johnson's an interesting player. I think that he obviously had a short season at Duke due to just him wanting to prepare for the NBA draft. He wasn't playing particularly hot at the time. Um, it looks like he came off 18 attempts in his freshman season at Duke. I just think I see him more in that, from what I've heard, especially in the Clutch Sports Pro Am, there,
Uh-huh.
he was, projected to be the next the next Boris Diaw, the next Aaron Gordon, and if that's kind of your comparison, I'm not sure if I'm sold on that.
Yeah, you're right. Isn't speaking of Aaron Gordon, isn't he a free agent?
I'm not sure. I think he might have another year left on his contract. I'll double check while we're looking
Oh
at
yeah,
this
he
draft.
does. You're right because I remember I seen that somebody was trying. He's in rumors right now. I think somebody's trying to get him.
I think that they should try and trade him, man. Like he just didn't perform in the playoffs. I think they just should look to.
And they're a lottery team now. Like John Wall, they're talking about John Wall's going to be out of there. That they're going to trade him somewhere. So
Hmm.
it's rebuilding time for them again.
Sucks, that can make
Christian
potentially
Wood could be
Jokic.
another guy too.
Yeah, I think the Houston Rockets will will pay him or like they'll retain him because I really do like that young core of like Kevin Porter. You got Christian Wood, and then you got House, who is not a bad player himself. I definitely think you could see a lot of interesting players. Kind of stay in Houston, try and get rid of the older guys like John Wall. Who else do they have on that team?
I think Houston's gonna really try to tank, man. I think they're gonna have a fire sale. I think they're gonna get rid of Wall. They're gonna get rid of Eric. They're gonna get rid of Christian, and they're just gonna draft Green. And then I think they're gonna try to get their hands on Imani Bates. I think a lot of teams are gonna try to tank and gear up for Imani Bates because that guy, he's just so talented. Like
Mhm.
that's the guy I think you know teams are lining up for
Yeah.
in the draft. But this class is pretty good. But I think Imani Bates is going to be like a Anthony Davis type.
Okay.
That guy's just superior, man. Like that guy, he got a shot up for LeBron. Like guys in high school don't really get necks up in high school from LeBron James. Like, and he backs his game up too. That kid's just talented.
Yeah. And so kind of continuing on the list, we got, like I said, Jalen Johnson at 12, or they have Jalen Johnson at 12. They also have Franz Wagner at 13 for the Pacers. At 14, they actually have Moses Moody here, a little bit higher than I think a lot of people expected, which is an interesting situation. They got the Wizards at 15 picking Isaiah Jackson out of Kentucky. And then they have at 16, they
Okay.
have Corey Kispert. I don't think he stays at Oklahoma. I just think that he is. I think he's going to go higher than 16. I don't see Corey Kispert going any lower than 14, in my opinion. I think that he is a really good role player and can really knock down the catch and shoots really well. So I think he'll definitely be up here in these teams. Like I said, he could potentially go to the Hornets even. As kind of a guy that they need. I could also see him going to the Pelicans because they need shooters if they decide to retain Lonzo Ball and Zion and have that whole team. I think that's probably where they should be going. But we'll see what happens with that. Like I said, I don't see Kispert staying at 16 to the Oklahoma City Thunder. 17, Memphis Grizzlies are going to take Chris Duarte. And at 18, the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to take Usman Garuba. As kind of like a undersized center, kind of a project in some sorts, just due to the fact that he's not really much of a scorer.
Okay.
At 19, they got the Knicks taking Jared Butler. At 20, they have the Hawks taking Zaire Williamson. At 21, they got the Knicks taking Jaden Springer. At 22, for the Lakers, they got him taking Sharif Cooper. 23, they got the Rockets taking Alfred Sengun, center from Turkey. I think this guy could be a potential sleeper in this draft.
Really?
MVP
Out of Turkey?
Out of Turkey, MVP. Of that league.
Okay.
I know it's Turkey, but I still think that he could be potentially good.
They got some good players.
24, they got the Houston Rockets taking Trey Murphy. 25, they got the Clippers taking Joshua Primo. At 26, they got the Nuggets taking Trey Mann. They got the Brooklyn Nets taking Kelser Edwards. I think that they really should go for a center, someone that can rebound.
And who has some weight on him.
Exactly.
They
have the 76ers taking Ayo Donsumo, the guy out of Illinois. Good player. I like him. They have the Phoenix Suns taking Nashawn Highland, a guard out of VCU. And, of course, they got the Utah Jazz kind of as the end of it, taking Jeremiah Robinson-Earl, the forward out of Villanova. So I think the only thing here that I would say about this mock draft is, I think Corey Kispert is too low in this draft class or in this mock draft. And I also think that Sengun is too low. I understand that he's a little bit of a risk because, he's a little bit frail, a kind of a smaller guy, but I do think that he could potentially be someone that they should really look at. Some of these teams, the Magic could be interested in them. I think the Thunder should also take a look at him with one of their picks, just because I think that he could be doing some damage. Depending on if the Kings want to take a chance on him. With their guys like Halliburton, they have De'Aaron Fox. I think that they can use him as kind of like the center since Marvin Bagley has just kind of been a little disappointing, I would say, in Sacramento.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But other than that, I don't think that there's any other news to really report on, Tyrese, unless you got something that you want to talk about.
Not really. I'm just curious to see where Kawhi Leonard's going, man, because I'm still Like I forgot that the Spurs misdiagnosed him too. Like now the Clippers, like where the hell is he going? Because he
Yeah.
looked very unhappy in that press box, and they reports even came out he was frustrated with the medical staff. So I'm very curious where he's going.
Yeah, I think the Kawhi Leonard saga will still continue because, like you said, like many, when Kawhi Leonard gets misdiagnosed and he's really picky about the guys that he trusts in the medical staff. I think that's a sign that if you misdiagnose him, if you're not treating him right, he's gonna
He can't
leave.
trust you.
He
Yeah,
can't trust you, and you're gonna leave, and then you're just gonna be stuck, uh, kind of in that situation. So we'll see what happens, man. I think this is gonna be one of those things that you have to kind of keep your eye on and see, what teams will be in for him, like whether that is the Boston Celtics, which we hope, or he could,
yeah.
potentially go to other teams that we don't know about. The Knicks could be in the running for him. We'll
Could be
find out.
Dallas. Never
Maybe
know.
Dallas. Dallas could definitely be a rumored place for him to go, especially with Luka Doncic and him. I think that'd be a very
J Kid
interesting.
now.
Yeah, J Kidd, that'd be a very interesting combination. So we'll see what happens there. And as we kind of move on, we'll kind of look at the Ben Simmons news and kind of keep you updated on that. We'll probably go into a full deep diagnosis, or at least I will. And Tyrese, you're more than welcome to join. We'll probably talk about that in the upcoming weeks just to see what will happen with Ben Simmons. Um,
Awesome.
but if there's nothing else to talk about, I do appreciate each and every one of you for sticking around the charge and listening to us talk about the news and rumors and basketball opinions. Of course, guys, we talked today about Damian Lillard and the trade rumors. We talked about Kevin Durant and the whole situation with him and the angry and pissed off Steph Curry fans. And, we talked about the mock drafts. We talked about the Celtics. And I just think that it was a great conversation. So, Tyrese, thank you once again for joining me here on the charge. It's always much appreciated.
No problem, man.
And like I said, guys, we have merch. If you guys are interested in buying merch, we of course have t-shirts, mugs, sweatshirts, and a hat. If you guys are interested in buying some merch, like I said, you don't have to buy it, but it is greatly appreciated if you are interested in getting some. We also, like I said, have a donation link if you are interested in donating to the channel. Like I said, not mandatory, but if you guys are willing to be inclined to do that, that'd be much appreciated as well. But anyway, guys, like I said, this has been your boy Bernie and Tyrese. Thank you once again for joining us here on The Charge, giving the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions. And guys, please remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. The more likes, the more shares, the more subscribes. It means the more that people are going to be willing to watch the channel. And again, guys, we have lots of stuff to talk about. Like I said, we have many stuff to talk about on the channel. We have 3 years ago videos. We got Lonzo Ball trade rumors a couple years back. And, you can kind of go back to our archives to see kind of fixer-upper editions, talking about the NBA is back, talking about the Kings being the biggest winners a couple years back and what they were, from where they were to where they are now. And, of course, we have a Knicks fixer-upper as well. And we have LeVar Ball being a genius. I still think he is. But with that being said, thank you once again for joining us here on The Charge. We appreciate each and one of you. Like I said, hit that like, share, and subscribe button because the more likes, the more shares, the more subscribe, the more people are going to be willing to watch the channel. Anyway, guys, like I said, my name is Bernie. Thank you once again for joining me here on The Charge, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.
Hello. Oh, okay. No problem, man. It was fun. Hopefully, Pete can hop on next time. Okay. Yeah, completely understand. No, if you're not doing nothing tomorrow, I mean, after maybe the game tomorrow, we can do a recap or something. Oh, okay. Oh, in the LA area. Oh yeah, it's bad out there, man. Mask mandates. Oh yeah, not as hot as in the valley though, man. It's we got heat waves and you know, it gets hot in LA too, but in the valley it gets. We just had 113 like a few days ago, so yeah, it gets very hot. But yeah, man. Yeah, it's going to infect on Saturday at 11:59 p.m. So no matter if you're fully vaccinated, like you're gonna have to wear a mask in all restaurants, like every building you walk into starting Saturday in LA County. And it sucks because I'm going to school out there in next month, so